Every bite's a tasty thrill. No price too high for. Oh, the ham's so sweet it can't be beat. Turkey's tender, it's quite the treat. Bologna's bold, a story untold. Stack it high, watch the magic unfold. Slice of nice, oh what a deal. Every bite's
60
a
seconds,
tasty
gents.
thrill. No price too high for the joy it brings. Deli meats make your heart take wing. Salami sings a savory tune. Roast beef dances under the moon. Pastrami's charm will make you swoon. Fill your plate morning, night, or noon. You don't need diamonds, you don't need gold. Just a little mustard and a loaf to hold. With every bite a tale is sold. Deli dreams never grow old.
All right, hold on. Ta-da!
Pilgrims.
We're going to start the show in a second. Welcome, everybody. Radio will begin. I don't know what the seconds were. I wasn't able to count them down. I was having too much fun.
Now we're coming up in 8.
Beep, 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 beep,
8
beep.
seconds. Oh, so exciting. It's
Oh, God.
3.
Here we go.
1. Damn it. Here we go. It's showtime.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you.
Makes you feel better, Hal. I hit the wrong button the first time, so you might have been right.
Live from Chicago, the Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Hal Sparks, actor, comedian, and multimedia personality.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hal Sparks.
All right, let's do this.
Johnny Million, how are you? This fine Saturday.
Right.
It's it's crazy days all over the place. Interestingly enough, we've got Trump just saying we're going to kill people for bringing drugs into our country with no real way of knowing if he knows that they're actually doing said activity.
Oh, I can tell if they're guilty just by
looking at 'em.
Look at them.
Oh, yeah.
Feeling their
Well,
aura.
Well, their parents are probably that way. If your parents have been arrested or something, fast racehorses breed fast racehorses, as Trump likes to say. So obviously bad seeds are genetic. So if these people, come from that country where a lot of drug trade's been going on for a long time, the chances are, even if they're on a polite pleasure cruise or out fishing, they're probably a drug dealer in utero, So, or as Trump calls them, a drug leader because he his brain is tapioca and he reverses the letters in words. So he calls calls him a drug leader instead of a drug dealer. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You said drug leader?
Yes, he said drug leader because his brain is tapioca.
Yeah.
And there are, I gotta say, the costs of living. Let's say, and by the way, we'll put that on the side. That there is continued shooting, has been since the alleged peace deal in Gaza between the Israelis and Hamas and other groups inside Gaza hasn't stopped at all. So the word ceasefire has now been relegated to parentheticals or with air quotes anytime it's mentioned, right? So that's happening. The peace president is also talking about doing what they've done to the boats on land, which for those paying attention is an act of war specifically, because in international waters, an unlicensed boat or something like you might be able to get away with not having that show up legally as an attack on the country they're from, but just murder. But in the case of doing it on the land where a truck is driving down a road, that's an act of war. And
Pretty much.
And by the way, how I often talk about how everything with Trump is a reboot. The man has no original ideas. And
Yeah. What's the
lot
reboot?
of this? Okay, this is a direct parallel towards the storyline where it was true in one case, but it doesn't have to be true in this case. It just works as a motivating factor. That Bashar al-Assad was known for I think it was called it was basically like ISIS meth. He was selling Pervitin, a new version of Pervitin, all over the Middle East, and he was pretending to fight it. And then when the rebels took over his place, they went into some of the military bases, and they have been all but fully converted into drug labs, where they were making this like old German stimulant. And I'll remember the name. It's like I want to say it's like I want to say a name, but it's not. It's John Cocteau-Stone. It's Coctagon, and it's not Coctagon, but it's something like that. It's anyways. Like I'll look it up. But the point is that not only was he providing this drug all over the Middle East, making like $57 billion. Captagon, take me away or something. Yeah, it's Captagon. I think Coctagon works better. I'm just going to say, although it does sound like, like something that happens downstairs at Diddy's house. But no, but so Captagon is this this stimulant that was created in Germany in the 50s or in the 40s, as a lot of things were. And it was considered a wonder drug, as a lot of these things were, like heroin, for example. Heroin was an opiate like Oxycontin and oxycodone. That's where this all started. And it was made by the Bayer aspirin company, and named heroin for its heroic effects on pain. That's where it got its name from.
Because they were trying to get all the kids off morphine.
That's right. And they were also, they needed, they were still doing frontier
I'm serious.
medicine.
Heroin was an alternative to morphine.
Right. And it worked gangbusters.
It worked.
Yeah. So, and then the same thing, like this Captagon was another version of Pervitin. They were working on another version that, wouldn't make you psychotic. Well, long story short, they failed. And Captagon spread all over the Middle East. And between Captagon and Khat, which is this drug that they chew as a stimulant, like chewing tobacco, both of those it will eventually make you paranoid and angry. And it, like Captagon raises domestic violence and all this other stuff. But it is basically like a recipe for jihadis. There's a reason why you can't, if somebody's been using it for a long time and fighting in a war and is suffering PTSD from that, if they're on Captagon, they're not going to get off Captagon anytime soon. They're going to continue to chew Khat, which will also make them paranoid. And it's just, you can understand why they talk the way they talk and think, because their brain is fried and it's been replaced by this, parasitic infection that tells them that there's a monster around every corner. It's also why there's so much infighting there as well. So much sectarian violence and turf wars, because nobody trusts anybody because they're all drugged out of their minds. So Syria's Bashar al-Assad at one point was portraying himself as the guy fighting the drug trade in the Middle East. And it turns out, and everybody knows this now because they found the shipments coming out of his country, like plastic oranges filled with hundreds of pills, papayas like hollowed out and full. They found it. Some in I saw some taken out of a goat carcass that was shipped to Saudi Arabia. And in Saudi Arabia, it's a party drug. And in Yemen and in that, for Hezbollah and all these guys, it's a fighting drug. It keeps them awake for days. It stifles their appetite, so they don't need to be as well supplied. And it makes them, over time, feels great in the beginning, and then over time, it makes you psychotic. Okay. So the response...
Like most good things.
Yes, right. Yeah, what is it?
I got away with chocolate fudge.
It's illegal, it's immoral, or it makes you fat. And yeah, right. Everything that's good is illegal, it's immoral, or it makes you fat. Right, like that was a song in my girlfriend's show. Anyways, so the reasoning behind it though is that the other Middle Eastern countries around Syria, one of the reasons why they were able to turn on one of their own, start supporting rebel groups that would be different from their normal ideology and that kind of stuff to push back against Assad and eventually muscle him out was because not only was he selling this and making this drug and spreading it throughout the Middle East, and it was turning a lot of their citizens psychotic and making them jihadis, which was making it really difficult to go to the market, but it was also because he was doing it on purpose. He was actively, on behalf of Russia and his own desires, destabilizing the countries around him so that one day, like Turkey likes to push into places, he could push into their territory and reclaim the Assyrian Empire, which is, includes parts of Iraq and all that stuff. So the countries around him started supporting people who were attacking him or attacked him directly because he was attacking them with drugs. Fast forward to now, and Trump and all of the people in the White House are using this same argument as a precursor to attack Colombia, Venezuela, and ultimately Mexico and anywhere in Central America. Anywhere it worked in the world.
I like the way you pronounce Colombia.
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 I pronounce it the exact same way. The same way Jimmy Smith says it in Running Scared. I feel like that's a good standard.
Yeah, that's canon.
Yes, it is. And singularly one of the greatest Chicago movies ever. Thanks, Peter Hyams. That said, so Trump is using this drug as a weapon, immigration as a weapon, excuse to wage open war, regular order war on these other countries. And in some ways, he's obviously trying to satisfy his goals and placate his supporters by doing this. But on the other way, he's also falling into the hands of those countries that actively do operate that way. Whether it's Russia pushing immigration in the United States during Joe Biden, during Obama, peeling it back under Trump, and then all of a sudden he looks like a hero because the people just aren't showing up the way they were before. Like, who was financing the caravans? Who was advertising? There were right-wing groups advertising in South America that you can just go into America and get free stuff now. And so these people would start walking there because why wouldn't you?
I'm going to go get me an Obama phone.
That's right. Yeah. And so, Trump is in some ways being baited into, open war, being made to look the bad guy so that the process can continue forward. Again, we got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. But we got to talk about your baloney. Yeah, Johnny. Does it
has
indeed?
A first name. Hey, it has a first name.
Does it though? Does it?
It's OSCAR.
That's a bunch of letters. That's not a name. Do you walk up, hey, what's up, OSCAR? Get out of here. We'll be back.
It has a second name.
Yep. Huh? One second. Then we'll talk about the Epstein ballroom.
Yeah, those images suck, man.
50 seconds, gents.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
People do like it when you put me in the tropics, Hal.
Oh, good. All right. I was going to swap you out, but I'm glad. I hope they appreciate, we're going to have to relocate you. Thank you. To somewhere in the tropics anyways.
Mm, 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 mm.
I think we're just gonna go. There's no
Okay.
intro.
All right.
Let's just
Welcome back.
go.
Yeah, let's just go. Welcome back to the show. It's Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPD Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk, and it's awesome to be here with my buddy John Million. And do you have a show tonight or a live stream that I should know about, just for the record?
You do not. I do not. Yesterday's stream was all about Ace Frehley.
Yeah.
And next week we'll be back to our normal programming. I played along with most of Alive.
Oh, wow. I'm doing Rip It Out on Tuesday at the Ultimate Jam Night.
Cool.
In honor
I
of
played
him.
that too.
Yeah. And bless his heart, the guy who runs the jam all the time, he's like, is that a big song? Do people know that song? All right. Yeah, you mean in the rock world of fans of this kind of music? No, probably not. All right, we got to talk about your meat, Johnny.
Okay. All right. Yet again, I keep trying to bring it up. I'm glad that you finally addressed it.
Right. Well, I understand you like it thinly sliced. When the mutton is nice and lean and the tomato is right, but it's so perky. I love that. But they didn't say that. Trump has been trying to pressure cattle ranchers to lower the prices of their product at a time when herds are at 65% capacity, when the number of cows has dropped because of drought and a bunch of other things. It's funny how that whole climate change thing, we just don't talk about it anymore, and we'll just pretend it's not impacting these things, whatever. But there's so many emergencies right now. We got to put the crisis on the back burner. Consumer prices. Okay, so your standard inflation, about 2%. That's the sweet spot, right? Everything goes up slightly 2% because new things enter the market and money has to be released to buy these new things. As the market expands, it expands by about 2%. And so you got to put money into the system so that people have it to spend on the new stuff that's available by about 2% every year. It's also a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's also psychological. Most people don't know the difference between deflation and disinflation, which is disinflation is what we're looking for. Deflation is what you worry about, where the prices start to crash because nobody's buying stuff anymore because they're broke, or which is happening in China right now. They're having a big deflationary thing. Whereas disinflation was like in a good analogy is what happened to eggs during avian flu. Prices were inflated temporarily, and they disinflated afterwards because it was in response to a direct thing. If a crop is wiped out, or the Dukes in Trading Places, right? These, getting the crop reports ahead of time, assuming that there were going to be fewer oranges, and they bought a bunch of it because they knew the price was going to go up, and it turned out the frost wasn't going to affect anything. There was going to be plenty of orange juices. And it crashed. And so everybody who was following them had to get out as quickly as possible and sell at a loss. And so the people who, in this case, Dan Aykroyd and Eddie Murphy's characters would buy up the orange juice. Yes, pork bellies. They would buy up these orange juice like commodities, the shares in those commodities at a price that was lower than the average would be needed to, whatever. It's like, say you're getting $2 per carton, and so the trade, you would want the commodities certificates that you had to be equal to that amount or whatever. But in reality, you got them at $1.20, how it extrapolates out over the cost of this. And now it still sells at $2 because that's the standard price, because it still has to go to market. There still has to be the same profit. The product has not changed at all, but you got it at $1.20, and so you'll make profit on those things. Whereas the Dukes bought it for $5, essentially. That's the way you look at it. Yeah, it was the Dukes. It was the Dukes. Yeah. Yes. And
every time I think about that movie, aside from Jamie Lee Curtis, I think about when He was on the train. Dan Aykroyd stole the fish from that party, and he's on the train, and he takes a bite of the fish through his beard.
Oh, yeah, he eats it through his beard. Yeah.
Yeah, like just like goes through his teeth. I mean, there's no that was not CGI, not back then. No, he really did that.
He really did that. Yeah.
Those men wanted to have sex with me.
All right. It was it is one
I
of
forgot about that.
one of the greatest. Yeah, he did. He had a really hard time, as you would expect from somebody, of his life. And of course, my other. I mean, it's hard to pick a favorite line. But...
Beef jerky?
Oh, no, son, thank you very much. No, it gives me the wind, something terrible.
Oh.
Same.
Oh, I am Num Jaibako, exchange student from Cameroon. Ha 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 ha. So,
did we just switch to what's the other movie?
No, Trading Places, where they're on the train and they're swapping the.
Right. At the end.
He dresses up as.
I thought it was.
Yeah, I'm Ingra from Sweden, but you're wearing lederhosen.
Right. Oh yeah, that is pretty amazing.
Yeah, no more jerky beef. All right. So speaking of it, look how we brought it back around. Aren't we great at this?
Yep.
This is so professional. Fantastic. Yeah, check please. So the 2%. So 2% is your sweet spot. Obviously, there was this big phony baloney right-wing push to attack Biden post-COVID as if COVID never happened, and that the prices going up had nothing to do with the fact that the entire world economy had sputtered to a halt and was taking its sweet time getting back in up to speed, and that because Americans had more money to spend than, say, other countries that had none, a lot of people were paying more for stuff to be at the front of the line when things did start getting back online. So when goods were available, they were flooding into the United States, but at a premium. And the rest of the world was slow. And so parts and elements, or even spices used for cooking or whatever that came from one place went to another for the preparation of these things, they all slowed down, and that drove the price up. It was not, and it took Bloomberg and Market Watch and all these idiots years to come around to what I was saying. I don't know why they seem so dense. He said everybody wanted to pretend COVID never happened, that the economy, nothing, we just stopped for a couple months. It was, what's the big deal? The whole world shut down. That they eventually came to realize.
They call it Biden's economy, even
that's
though
right.
Trump helped shut it down by absolutely allowing it to escalate with it,
tearing
down all the guardrails just because they were put in place by Obama.
That's right. Yeah, just his own jealousy and pettiness. And by the way, that's where we're headed. Just prepare, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's a year from now or 2 years from now, he's lit wicks on things he doesn't even understand that are going to blow up then. They're going to blow up.
Oh, yeah. And can I just address there's been some fear mongering about the Trump 2028 and how he doesn't plan to who's the guy that's in jail who wears 1,000 shirts that I've forgotten what his
Steve
name
Bannon?
is. Yeah, Bannon on some podcast saying no, it's going to happen. We've got to finish what we started and all of that. And the counter argument to Trump having a third term is, I don't know, let Obama run against him then. See how that goes.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Like anybody could run again in that regard then for forever and ever. But also, Trump's brain is tapioca. There is no way he's going to make it to the end of this term and not be being rolled around in an electric wheelchair like Admiral Pike. Just not happening. Like, he's a mess. He's got, I said by the spring he was going to have a 4-hour window of consciousness. It's already happened. He's already there. He can't do 4 hours without starting to swear like he has Tourette's. He's literally, I'm not being pejorative in that sense. I mean, genuinely.
Yeah, seriously. And his face droops the more every appearance, it droops more and more and more.
Right, exactly. Again, it's like a slow motion view of someone looking into the Ark of the Covenant. Or like he just took a peek and then shut the lid. Every day he just walks over to the Ark of the Covenant, takes a peek, and then, so 2% is our target, right? And the cost of getting goods from overseas has gone up inexorably because of the fact that some of these things just come from overseas, that some of the preparatory chemicals or spices come from different countries. And so to put those things together, if one element of it goes up, so does the rest of it. And labor costs have grown, because especially in the United States and other Western countries, as we push for a living wage anywhere. And with it have gone the prices of producing things. And as much as people like really focused on that it was corporations and corporate greed, in certain areas that was absolutely true. But when it comes to like the vast majority of consumers going to, Kroger's or Walmart or Target, they operate at a 2% margin. Their profit margin is 2% on goods from clothes to groceries, electronics even, 2%. And so that 2% is in line with, holding on to the standard inflation rise by the skin of your teeth. It's been built on that kind of understood. Now, in theory, you'd want it about 2.5 to 3% just in case because of the fluctuations that caused by things. But then you would be undercut in prices by one of your competitors temporarily because they're not looking for it. Their store might go out of business in 5 years when something bad happens, but yours will go out of business right now because they're undercutting you on prices. So the price pressure pushes things down anyways, and across the board. Meanwhile, though, because of the availability of goods, and we got to take a break. I braced through that because we were chit-chatting about trading places. I'll wait until the other side because I want to finish this thought on the other side. Because there is a rise in the CPI in some areas that is what should happen in a year over the course of months. And Trump thinks prices are going down. We'll be back.
We had to get we had to get one of those feeders that scans the microchip for one of our cats.
Oh dear.
Because Foster won't stop eating and he kicks the Damon off of his dish all the time.
Oh.
And so this other one, it'll close up unless Damon's under there.
Right.
The only downside is if Damon is skittish. So
50
he's
seconds.
having a hard time Thank you.
Right.
He's having a hard time getting used to the idea that it's okay for him to stick his head in a weird little gizmo to get his food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chip has become very skittish in his old age. So he's not old, but he's just like everything scares him. So we have to carry him to the bathroom sometimes so he doesn't pee in the corner.
Aww.
Yeah. So because he's afraid of the washing machine.
Aww.
Are we back, or did I miss the music?
No, he said
you guys got
about
it's like 10.
Gotcha. Okay, 10 seconds. All right, here we go. All right.
Devin!
5, 4, 3, 2. I'm all right.
You're on time that time, Hal.
Evidently, Devin
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Welcome back. So, all right, regular 2%. That's what we've heard our whole lives. It goes right up. There's one of those consistent numbers like 11 million undocumented immigrants. If you feel like there's a reason why, and Iran is 6 months away from a nuclear weapon, there's a reason why you hear those ubiquitously over time, because you can only set them back so far. In the case of Iran, and they'll keep rebuilding it, and they've got secondary and third areas where if you miss one, they'll keep working in another area, and that's their window out. So you have to you're playing whack-a-mole. In the case of the 11 million, that's pretty much the market saturation of the kind of work that we need done in the United States, and the sort of value of that work mixed with some I'm sure illegal drug trade on the fringe of it, but the vast majority of them are what I would, what Stephen Miller calls military age men, and I would call roofing age men, which is proven by an ICE raid in Lincoln Park this week, where they went to a construction site and rounded some folks up. And again, a lot of this is just, it's so obvious. But, and then 2% inflation. This is what we've heard. It's whether you can say whether it's an economic necessity or a pre-existing condition, a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's just understood to be normal, but it isn't. It doesn't quite matter, because it's been consistent for a long time and it's become the standard. It's become gospel regardless. So the issue that you have is that it was based on increasingly, and how you keep that 2% is by offshoring. The offshoring of manufacturing and the offshoring of purchasing of goods. The only way you maintain, if you're swearing to that 2% level, as the expectations of the consumer go up, the price of availability of things or land goes away because of erosion or drought or any of those kind of things. The only way you maintain that 2% is not economically, it's by offshoring. You send factories to China and Mexico. You buy foodstuffs from countries where people make $3 a month. That's how you keep that 2%. If you move it back home, the price becomes equivalent to what it would be in those countries if you just paired the currency of that country versus this one. So sure, it costs, they only make $3 a week in one particular country, but to live, it only costs $2.50 a week. So you can save 50 cents and it just goes on. And it's just it's a parity in the money supply and the availability of work and the expectation of prices. It's like us in Japan. A TV set that costs $500 here costs, 500,000 yen. It's relative to that, right? And so the prices kind of climb based on market availability and demand, supply and demand, by and large. But the only way you manage that 2% and keep it down is you outsource things. You send, you get your electronics made in China or in India. You get your pharmaceuticals made over there. You get avocados from Mexico instead of the Central Valley. That's how you do it. It's become the unspoken thing. That's why the reaction from a lot of the farmers about like, hey, you're grabbing my workers. That's the other way you do it. If you can't outsource it to workers that work cheap in another country, you import the cheap labor into the country and pay them under the table. That's been the system that's propped up this sort of artificial 2% for a long time. It's also created a lot of our debt because you can't not have the cost. You can't make it just go away. You can just shuffle it. You can go, we have, where prices are low over here, but you'll subsidize it everywhere else. This is how, Trump and his people like to attack how renewables get, subsidies from the government. And why they should be able to stand on their own without realizing that oil got subsidies forever, for decades. And we still do. We still subsidize oil and gas in the United States to artificially deflate the price. So the Amish taxes pay for cars they will never drive. They buy gasoline whether they like it or not. And so when the price goes up, there is an element of the price is only, if you reshore these things, if you go, we're not making that stuff over there anymore, we're bringing it back home, you are breaking the covenant that created the 2%. Period. End of story. There's no way to change it. And that's why CPI food at home price levels have gone up 30% since January of 2020. Prices are 30% higher than they were in January 2020 as far as food prepared at home. Now there's a bunch of, elements of, there's a lot of variance in that. Sugar's gone up but fresh fruits have gone down, mainly because there has to be a turnover. Most of that has been done here. Anything that can be sold quickly and they can convert a profit, if they're not selling to another country, like in the case of the soybean farmers, and they know that they can't, point to next year and know they're going to sell something to somebody else because of Trump's trade wars, they're going to grow more crop at home and the price of oranges is going to go down. That's how it has to work. And one of the big ones that's hitting MAGA is the price of ground beef. So because while Trump likes his very fine steaks done well and slathered in ketchup, MAGA World and yours truly and a couple of other people have either gotten into the carnivore diet or have recognized that saturated fat got a bad rap for a long time, and that the overfocus on fiber and all those other things can have a detrimental effect on your system. And so meat, not so bad. Obviously, it's where you get it from and the quality of it, which has also driven the price up, the expectation of the consumer, because how many places, like you used to have to go to a butcher shop specifically to get grass-fed beef, right? To find grass-fed beef, you had to go to a butcher shop. Now it is in packs in Kroger's, almost all of it. So the expectation of the consumer is such that if they're going to eat, they're expecting better quality at Kroger prices. So that's going to inflate the price generically anyways, like generally over time, not generically. But the price of it since 2020 has gone up 63%, double the average grocery price. And a bunch of it, if you can, I'm showing a chart right now, and people can see that it's been climbing largely because of something that Trump, Biden, even Obama had little control over, which was droughts were lowering the number of cows available, and that was just making herds smaller, which will, again, supply and demand. Demand is still the same. Supply goes down. Price is going to go up. That's just natural. And that's the normal arc that you were seeing. But as soon as Trump got in, there's an enormous spike in the cost. And a whole percent jump. Everywhere else it had jagged and gone down and up a little bit. But it is in the last month, it's still going up. But they were like, phew, it only went up 0.3% last month. But it's averaging out at 4% this year, on top of everything else. And this is what I going into the midterms, Democrats, he is giving them such a gift by being so piggishly ignorant about how any of this works and bullish on this stupid plan of blanket tariffs on everything and everybody as a way of getting revenge on people who didn't give him everything he wanted during his first term. Whether it's Xi Jinping.
My favorite thing is that how he turned down or stopped negotiations with Canada because they ran that ad of Reagan saying the tariffs are bad.
Yeah. I mean, just ignorant garbage. It is so, and here's the thing. This is a man arguing with gravity as he's already stepped off the cliff. He is trying to debate gravity on his way to the ground. There is, I talk often about the two trains leaving the stations. The promises made about bringing these prices down and the impossibility of doing that while you are reshoring and bringing it back to America. In terms of those goods and services. You do that, price is going to go up. Why? Because the cost of labor in the United States is higher than it is in Mexico and higher than it is in China and higher than it is in Brazil and Ecuador and wherever else you would get it from. Period. End of story. You're adding that person's salary to the cost of the goods. There's no question. And so what I think is happening, obviously he's being advised by morons and they're patting him on the back because they can short America and still make off like bandits, I suppose. In the, from whether it's
Advised by Morons is one of my favorite bands from the mid '90s.
They're good, you know what I mean. I felt like they were robbed for the Grammy for Best New Artist.
They were, but they were a one-hit wonder. They never did anything after that one big song they had. What was that one big song they had?
Nerf Love. Like it was about it was something about their heart not being able to be broken because it's Nerf, but it still gets shot out of it. It was really,
it's a Nerf heart.
yeah, it was really ham-handed. I was disappointed personally, but it had a nice beat and you could dance to it.
As much as I like ham.
Right. So, this is here's the CPI for coffee, for example, and Trump is obviously having his fight going on with Colombia and other coffee producing countries because they produce drugs, which I'm fairly certain coffee is kind of one, but that's another conversation for another time. I would classify standard like stimulants as different from amphetamines. And there's obviously some gray area there depending on the strength of those things. But
there's some crossover.
Yep, 46% since January of 2020. Arabica coffee, which is fancy pants coffee, is up 150% from the spike in early 2022. It's up 125% from late 2024. And it's every time if he's like, even if we get to 2%, you will not have disinflation anytime with any of Trump's plans. Whatever he thinks his theory is of high tariffs, we're going to take in so much money and we're going to bring these factories back here and all that kind of stuff. In the short term, until you can automate every labor intensive job, the price will go up.
Yeah.
For everything. Period. End of story. Unless you can outsource it to countries where the cost of living is low, therefore the wages for workers can be low, the price will go up. And he seems intellectually incapable of gathering this. The one bright spot, eggs. Eggs have come down, I think, something like 14% this year. Oh my God, they've done so. Or no, sorry, beg your pardon. 1.3%. They've come down 1.3% year over year because the year over year spike was based on before the avian flu outbreak and after. So the avian flu outbreak drove it up 33%, came back down to where it was, but still stayed elevated. Year over year, still up 1.3%. But it's up 139% since January of 2020. And there is no situation where we're producing more eggs than the average without the price going up, which would bring the price down.
I'm doing my part.
Like if you made more, if you got more chickens and you bigger farms and all that kind of stuff, you'd be producing more eggs. Chickens. You would.
I've been doing it without chickens.
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 Yeah, it's an old joke from my family. Anytime somebody says chickens. I'll tell the joke during the break. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Let's hear it.
An old farmer and his wife are in divorce court, and they have irreconcilable differences. And the wife's attorney is standing there going, Your Honor, we allege that he has committed horrible infidelity with farm animals. He has, every time she was away at church, everywhere she was visiting relatives, heck, anytime she was asleep, he was in the barn having sex with pigs, having sex with cows, having sex with chickens. And the guy stands up and goes, chickens? So, my whole life, chickens.
I was with you till then.
Mm-hmm. We're coming back. Sorry, it was down 1.3%. My bad. Down a whole percent, 0.3. Not elevated.
The P&L Group Holding Company where...
Yes, Lord?
Imagine being...
I am.
So we'll replace your rejoins with other commercials. Awesome.
Right.
Wide.
So welcome to the show, everybody. I was talking during, I told the joke during the break, so you're going to have to watch the live stream for that, infotainmentwars.com. Support us on patreon.com. It's what keeps the show on the air. And then, of course, super chats, etc., all that stuff. But there's a mom and there's a yoy. A yoy. Should we call it yoy? Month over month, year over year. Food and oil prices in the last month have gone up 0.3%. Year over year, they're at 2.7%.
Yep.
This is, I think, a few days old. It is at 2.8 or 2.9. They're expected as high as 4% year over year by the end of the year because the tariffs went. Finally, he's allowing some of them to go through. While he's been saying, the tariffs aren't so bad. I mean, what's the big deal? They haven't affected prices at all. That's because he paused all of them and pretended they were there. So he's like, we're making so much money from tariffs while almost none of them have existed. Also, other countries do not pay the tariffs. The consumer does. The importer pays the tariffs. It is an import tax. That's how it works. And they pass that cost along to the consumer eventually. They can maybe hold off for a little while if they think it's temporary. But if they think it's permanent or will at least go through one big sales cycle like Christmas, they're going to pass it all along to the consumer. It's the only choice they have. Or they'll go broke. Again, Target, Walmart, Kroger's, these other companies, 2% margin. 2%.
Sure.
All right. Imagine if you had a 2% margin of error. And tens, if not hundreds of thousands of employees. The brow sweat. Okay. So beef and veal is up 14.7%. It's up 1.2% in the last month. And it's not going down. Pork's up 1.6. Poultry's up 1.4. Fish and seafood up 2.1. I don't know if that has anything to do with the fact that we're blowing up fishing boats in other countries. Eggs are down 1.3%. I misspoke, not up 1.3%. They're down a whole 1.3%. So instead of being up 143% since 2020, they're up 142% and 141 and change since then. And literally that has largely to do with the beginnings of avian flu happening about this time last year. Chickens. Dairy and related projects, which is adorable, up 0.7% year over year, down 0.5%. Again, these are internal. That's where we get the whole government cheese thing from, is that the dairy industry naturally produces a lot of excess, and we give that away as part of SNAP programs and that kind of stuff. And because of that, well, the price stays low because there's that you have that expansion and contraction that's available in that market. Fresh vegetables are up 2.8%. Fresh fruits are down 0.2%. These are all relatively localized, but fresh vegetables, that's a lot because we get a lot of vegetables from Mexico. We get a lot of vegetables from Canada. We get a lot of vegetables from other countries in general. Juices and non-alcoholic drinks up 3%. Coffee and tea up 18.9%. Fats and oils 1.7. They're down 1.7. That's because of all the soybeans that they have. They will just rot. So we're turning it into vegetable oils essentially. Baby food and formula is up 1.3% over the last month, 0.6% over last year, and alcoholic beverages at home 0.3% up. The issue more than anything is that when you move these things home, the price is going to go up. There is no way to change the gravity of that situation. There just is not. And what's Trump's response? Blame the farmers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This morning, it's not just shoppers worried about beef prices. Farmers also worried.
We have a record low cattle herd, and it's because it hasn't been profitable the last decade.
President Trump says he has plans to import more beef from Argentina, buying up to 4 times the usual amount. He says more quantity will help lower beef prices for American consumers. In the meantime, Trump is calling on ranchers to get their prices down, saying tariffs he's imposed on other countries should be helping them.
We're going to do something very quickly and easily on beef to get it down. The ranchers understand that. They're so happy for what I've done. I saved them.
U.S. beef prices
just gibberish.
Are at record highs. Ground chuck is almost 18%.
I saved them. That's why they're in the position that they're in. They don't. Here's the problem, Johnny. They don't realize they're saved. They're too rude, right? It's sad, but it's just ranchers by and large are big jerks who don't realize that he is doing so much to save them from themselves, largely. Now, some people might look at this and go, well, it takes a little while for a chicken that, if it had avian flu and they have to replace it with another chicken, it takes a few months, like 8 months or so for it to start producing eggs. And so that's about your window when the prices should start to ease, and then they'll fully come down after it matures and is producing a lot of eggs and that kind of stuff. But a cow, not shockingly, unless everybody's eating, it's almost like a let them eat veal moment for Trump. Takes a few years to mature before it can produce milk that can be made into cheese as well, or can be slaughtered for meat. And so that takes time. And that time needs a strategy. And that strategy is antithetical. And this is the other thing that maggots are up against. This is the big thing that Republicans are up against. And this is why, even though this is bad, you can't lay it all at Trump's feet, because Republicans, by and large, have all been fighting this in not, in just disregarding climate change, disregarding impacts on the environment. Even if they think it's natural, you would think they, and that it's not man-made, they would take efforts to go, okay, yeah, definitely water, levels are going down in certain areas, and that's going to continue for the next couple of years. Looking ahead, that's fewer cattle you can water with that. We're going to have fewer cows. That means prices are going to go up. We're going to have to find ways to mitigate that, either by pumping more water in or doing something. But they don't. They just ignore it, because they're not about governing. They're about power. Honestly, that's the issue, is that they want control over certain industries, certain financial markets, certain even personal and social control over certain areas. But they have no interest in. It's like that line in Joe versus Volcano. I know he can get the job, but can he do the job? I'm not arguing that with you. I know he can get the job.
Oh my God!
Can he do the
what
job?
Is that from?
Joe versus
the Volcano?
Yeah, I know he can
God,
get the
I love
job.
that movie.
But can he do
the
the job? I am not arguing that with you. No, did I say that? I didn't say that. If I said that, I would be wrong. I know he can get the job, but can he do the job? Yeah. This is a key part of it, and this is why why we need to make boring great again, because a lot of this kind of work, the kind of work to manage prices, manage costs, make sure that that irrigation works properly, that farmers can respond to emergencies, that FEMA gets proper funding and proper direction, all this stuff requires competency that maggots, by and large, but certainly the current administration, is hostile to. It's one of the reasons why Trump uses, and his people around him, especially J.D. Vance, use the word competency and all this stuff about themselves all the time, because they have a sore spot knowing that they aren't competent, and that other people that they have derided as enemies of the state and traitors and all that kind of stuff are competent and managed to do this. Like, this whole thing, like Biden, the worst president ever, a traitor to the country, manages to pass the only infrastructure bill in 30 years. Right? Manages to get a bill passed that will remove lead pipes from our water system in the United States for the first time ever. One of the worst traitors ever. Just really bad at it. I mean, I'm sure he wants to be, but he just sucks at it. And Trump and everyone around him there's this vengeance about, they attacked Trump while he was, and they're going to go after Letitia James and others and Comey and Bolton for daring to speak out of turn. And again, the ones closer to the fold are going to get attacked worse. Bolton's going to get it worse than anybody. And I have a hard time feeling sorry for the guy because...
Yeah, it's really hard to feel bad for that guy.
Yeah, and that's part of how they do this too. Go after the people who are obvious. The reality is these guys are all faced with the fact that they know they're incompetent, that they don't know how any of this stuff works, that Doge was a complete failure. Can we just stack that up? Remember when Doge was going to roll in and solve funding? Let's just start there, maggots. How about that? Let's just let that roll through your head. Remember what Doge was going to do? It was going to cut all the funding. The deficit is up for the year. Government spending is up $350 billion over the last year of Biden. $350 billion. Are prices down along with that? Of course not, you morons. Are we in fewer conflicts? No. Our ships are engaged in more conflicts. And is the budget going down? No. Did they stop? Did they clamp down the debt ceiling? No. It's time for maggots to start feeling ridiculous, because they are. We'll see you after the break with our dear friend Philip Bittner, who will be joining us from Kyiv. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. To those who are, I saw somebody leave it in the chat room, so see you later.
Don't leave. Go.
No, come back. We'll be back right after.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Ruben, you're right. Doge was a grift. I mean, think about how, like, the fanfare around, and I would argue fanfic, around Doge. Like, think of all the promises made, just like on the campaign trail earlier this year. Trump and Musk don't even talk anymore. When they did once at Charlie Kirk's funeral, it was like a truce among nations. It was like, the Reagan meeting Gorbachev. And then it went right back to hostile. And it was garbage. Doge was and is garbage. It never accomplished any of its goals. It did not cut spending. USAID, by the way, by and large, still exists because they can't get rid of it without Congress. So it was folded into the State Department so Trump can pretend he got rid of it. Is the Department of Education gone? No. Why? Is it because they won't let him? No. It's because if Trump doesn't have the Department of Education, he has no control over the school districts in the country to make them go unwoke or whatever. There is no carrot or stick if the Department of Education goes away. Why would they listen to him at all? David G says, untrue, Hal. Not a thing I said was untrue. All of it was a waste of time. The budget is up. Feel free to at me. The deficit and the debt up. Prices aren't down. We're declaring war on Venezuela, Colombia. There's Phil. Hold on a second. Let me bring him in here. Excellent. Mm-hmm. Get him in here. Mm-hmm. There you go. There he goes. And then we'll bring in Phil. Hold on one second. There you are, my friend. Welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Phil!
Phil!
Yeah.
Phil, I knew it was you. They said that's not Phil. But I knew it. Get away from me, man.
Phil Ryerson?
No, what? That's Ned Ryerson. Needle
Ned
Nose
Ryerson.
Ned.
Damn
Needle
it.
Nose Ned. Ned the head. Come on, buddy. Case Western High.
What's the bit that Cheech and Chong go? Yeah, Ted's not here.
Dave's not here, man.
Dave's not
here, man.
No, Phil.
Yeah, Dave's not here,
The
man.
Phil line is from Beverly Hills Cop. Where he goes. It's July. I think it's a little hot for long leather coats. Phil, what's with all the hostility
Stand by. Coming back in 5.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I've had people walk out of me before, but not when I was being so charming.
Video streaming at halsparks.com.
I don't care for you or for the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Damn puss-faced little pimpstick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
Can I just say I love Jane Child and her music. I'm just going to throw that out there. Just period.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the Real World, I think, as it grows more relevant by the day. It seems like everything we said about Reagan is gospel about Trump. The irony, right? Because I'm not saying Reagan wasn't bad by comparison. He did plenty of awful. But the accusations thrown at Reagan are things that Trump is proud of. So I want to welcome to the show our dear friend Philip Ittner, who is in Kyiv right now, and by all measure has power, which is good, considering the last time I saw him, power was out, and it came on during the show, but we were very concerned. What's the latest there with you?
They've gotten better with the power warning system.
Mm-hmm.
We're back to an online app that you can access, and they say, planned blackout between this hour and that hour. So we had 5 hours of blackout in my building today. So no. I mean, we get by. We have ways of negotiating, circumventing the problem, because we've got these, battery, these large
backup
solid state batteries, so we can run our internet and our computers and things like that. Larger, things that consume more energy. I've got a very large power station in the next room, which is about the size of a breadbasket, and that runs stuff for a long time, but it's highly inconvenient, and we're only starting to get into the cold weather here, so it's going to get worse, and we're going to have the kind of little space heaters,
right?
That can run on
battery power,
USB,
battery
power, and electric power. Those are going to be more important. Candles. You'd be amazed how much a single candle or a handful of candles in an enclosed
space warms the place up. Yeah,
can actually warm the place up. So what I do is I live in a 2-bedroom apartment in the center of Kiev.
Right.
And what I will do is I will shut the doors to where I'm kind of living in, and I'll have candles and space heaters and all that kind of stuff. Right now, I am, because I'm told that we're not due for another power outage until tomorrow morning, I'm running on mains, but I have as a backup everything connected to a solid state battery, so that even if an unexpected outage did happen right now, it would be a moment or two, and we would switch over to a cellular hotspot, and so if I suddenly disappear, I'll probably be back, once everything gets established, within about, a minute or so, give or take.
Right. Appreciate that.
But, it's how we live. It's how we live.
two two cruise missiles hit outside of Kyiv, I believe, yesterday or the day before. Time change being what it is. This is from Irina Polgaraya. In the early morning, occupiers launched a missile strike on Kyiv. A series of powerful explosions rocked the city, causing fires to break out in the Darnitsky and the Desnyansky districts. 8 people are currently known to have been injured, according to preliminary information as a result of the attack. Recording fires at several locations in the left bank part of the city. We are investigating, said them. And there's an image of them. Let's see if I can scroll
it was locally. It was Tuesday into Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
That overnight when they just absolutely from 1 a.m. on
Tuesday to Wednesday, right?
Ostensibly, 1 a.m. Until 8 a.m.
Right.
Was a massive attack on Tuesday into Wednesday, and they clearly targeted the electrical grid. And since that time, we have been having these outages, and the first 36 hours of it was kind of like, what is this going to be? And now it's even to the point that we were filming today for this week's episode, and both myself and my camera operator didn't foolishly did not check there's an online app
right
that you can connect
the camera,
and it says power will be out from this time to this time. And we didn't check it, and we were in the middle of filming an element for this week's episode, and suddenly all the lights went out. And we kind of we were both sitting there kicking ourselves going, we should have checked this, because we previously spent the last 20 minutes just talking about what are you hearing, what am I hearing, what are your thoughts, what are my thoughts. I have a staff, I have a Ukrainian staff, or a bunch of guys that I kind of support with I give them a couple bucks for a couple hours work,
right?
And but additionally they're kind of my touchstone,
right?
And so one of my camera operators came over, and we sat there for 20 minutes chatting about well, what do you think about this, and what do you think about that? And neither of us had gotten back into the rhythm of checking the power outages. So we'd been chatting for 20 minutes, and they were like, okay, let's do this thing. All right, start filming. And literally, literally as we started to kind of transition. And I was just kicking myself for being like, we should have just filmed this first, and then chatted.
Yeah.
But we're back into this. It was like this last winter, and I suspect it'll be like this winter, but even worse.
Right.
Because I don't think I think the Russians recognize that I don't know how much more time they have.
Right.
To try this kind of stuff, and so they're gonna make this winter really unbearable, and we'll see how it goes. But Ukrainians all have backup provisions, whether it's bottled water because the water may go out, or maybe it's space heaters that run on this power or that power, or even lighting or internet or all that. They've gotten used to it, and they've adapted. So we'll see. But I don't think I was speaking to my colleague who works with me on the show, and she said this is going to be a bad winter, and I said, yeah, it's going to be a bad winter, but we're used to it. And she said, yeah, we'll make it through.
Right. So a couple of things I want to address with you over the next little bit. I have plenty of questions and things to get your comments on, and we're also going to get questions from the chat room. Johnny, you'll be farming those for us, and let me know when we have our first batch as well. couple
A
things stood
decent
out.
batch.
There was a real quick the Russian envoy Kirill Dmitriev, his special representative for investment and economic
Yeah.
cooperation. He said that freezing the war along the current front lines is a quote good compromise. That's what Zelensky said. And it's a big move by President Zelensky to acknowledge that that's about that it's about battle lines. This is what Dmitriev said. You know, his previous position was that Russia should leave completely. So actually, I think we're reasonably close to a diplomatic solution we could work out, right? We're splitting the baby at this point. He's like, first he wanted us to leave. Now we can stop at the battle lines. We're halfway to our goal, which is taking the rest of the country. This is, it's almost like a Russian joke at this point. But the part that stands out to me is that anytime that you start seeing like, the quote was in the newspapers, I think even in The Guardian, diplomatic solution to end Ukraine war in sight, Russian envoy says. Hooey. Like just the more, like whenever they say something like that.
Dmitriev.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dmitriev is a absolute 100% liar.
Mm-hmm.
He and the Russian investment development program, or whatever it is, the title that he holds, is a front for the kleptocracy.
Mm-hmm.
What this guy does, and what the office has always been, is to go around the world and to try to get people involved in Russian business. But the problem is, if you lie down with dogs, you wake up with fleas. And getting into a partnership with Russian oligarchs or whatever it is, you will be involved in corruption.
Right.
Because that's how it works. That's the system in Russia is inherently built on corruption. So if Dmitriev is a guy who goes around the world trying to get people sucked into the corruptive oligarchic mafia state kleptocracy that is Russia.
Right.
And once you're in that, you become beholden to it and you are compromised by it.
Right.
And that's the purpose is the purpose of that organization is not to like, hey, let's build Russian industry. It is to, hey, let's compromise people who think that they can get a buck or two out of the kleptocracy that is Russia. And so the guy's poisonous. And the fact that he is being allowed, apparently he's being allowed to even like do a tour of the United States. He flew into the States, and he's going to be doing a series of kind of like talks and stuff. I mean, this is a guy who should be in a jail.
Right.
And
let's take a quick break.
I know.
Let's take a quick break because we're at the quarter hour. We're a little bit over. So let's hold that, and then when we come back, you can finish that thought if you want to, and then we'll grab some of the questions. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, now with 100% more. Johnny Million.
That's me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's see this real quick. Have you seen the thing about Merkel allegedly told the sitting president of Ukraine at the time not to interfere when Russia took Crimea? That's part of I'll show you that in a second. Let's see if I can find. Yeah, here it is.
I've seen a couple things coming out of Merkel lately.
Well, this was before. This is somebody was basically outing her as being the one who said, don't push back when it happens. And largely because, Germany was reliant on Russian oil at that point. And they were, and again, Russia was taking that area because they wanted the natural gas. So...
Well, yeah, no, they were taking that area for a lot of different reasons.
Right.
But yeah. Merkel, I mean, look, I mean, Schultz former Chancellor Schultz was on the board of directors
Coming
of
back in 20.
Gazprom.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, the Germans, up
Along with Carter
until just
Page.
recently, have been, yeah.
Allegedly. All right. We're coming back in a couple seconds. The commander of the Lithuanian Armed Forces said that the lack of resistance by saying it happened at Merkel's request in a telephone conversation.
This is Damian Perdue of Think Theory Radio, Saturdays at 6 p.m. You're listening to Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
In looking back over stuff or whatever, there was this story that like Trump, breezes over. He wants to blame Crimea on Obama, but there was this post from a while back or whatever that said Merkel asked Ukraine not to resist during the seizure of Crimea, says the former Lithuanian head of the armed forces, and that's been she used to rebut it, and apparently she's now everybody around her has admitted this essentially, and it was because Germany needed the Russian oil and gas, and that leverage was enough. And so it would teach everybody, I would think, to not allow Russia to have any leverage on you. Meanwhile,
Well, as we were saying in the break, we were talking about in the break. I mean, Merkel is bad enough,
right?
But Gerhard Schroeder, as former German Chancellor Schroeder, I mean, was on the board of directors of Gazprom, the state-run Russian oil industry company. So, look, the Germans. There was a long stretch of time when the Germans were, basically Russia was their pusher, and they were heroin addicts for petrochemicals, fossil fuels from Russia. And Schroeder's is to my mind the worst example. But Merkel is pretty bad too. And talking about don't push back because God forbid escalation and all that kind of stuff about Crimea, because everybody knows, all the Europeans certainly, that the peninsula is something that the Russians are willing to go to extreme measures to try and control, because they still continue to have aspirations to be a major global naval power. And the Black Sea is dominated by the Crimean Peninsula. It's one of their only warm water ports. And so there was a widespread, and I remember it during the period of Maidan in 2014, when the little green men showed up in Crimea, that it's very, very clear that they're willing to go to extreme measures to try and control the Black Sea. And that's why I think this idea that freezing the lines along a ceasefire, the ceasefire proposition that's being out there, of them freezing along the lines as they are, will not work, because there are, and Hal, you and I have talked about this many times, but I just will reiterate for those who may have not heard it before, there are two primary strategic objectives of Moscow when it comes to the conflict in Ukraine, and that is to install a pro-Moscow government in Kiev that's friendly to Russia and is subservient to Russia, much like Lukashenko in Belarus is subservient to Russia, and also to regain control of the North Shore of the Black Sea, because they don't have a warm water port. That's one of their only warm water ports, as compromised as it is, because it still has to go through the Bosphorus, and Turkey controls entrance. But regardless, it's one of their only warm water ports. And unless they have Odessa, they can't control the Black Sea. So they are very far
I would argue
from their strategic goals.
I don't think without Odessa they don't have any hope of controlling the Black Sea. It doesn't mean they still would. That's again because of because basically the exit for that whole area goes past Turkey, and Turkey has control over those waters by and large. You're still at their whim, but they could build out a little bit. And the idea is that you build up your strength enough where Turkey wouldn't want to push back against you. Well, Turkey, as Russia's economy continues to crash and their output is increasingly worthless, because even in terms of like cultural output, Turkey is outpacing them. Turkey is, by the way, running on a U.S. dollar economy. Like their entire economy is under the table U.S. dollars. Period. And so they recognize which side of the bread the butter is on, and they know that even if they play footsie with largely because of Kazakhstan with Russia. Ultimately, they're looking down the runway to a time when Russia doesn't matter, and they're building towards that, and being part of that, them not mattering, not an accident. We got about 5 minutes before the break, and I want to make sure we get a couple of questions in from the chat room.
Well,
Johnny,
one quick extra point on that also is that Incirlik, the airbase, the U.S. airbase in Turkey at Incirlik is absolutely integral to U.S. projecting global power. It's Incirlik and it's Diego Garcia that are two of the most important U.S. Military bases abroad. And the Turks know it. And so they know that they can exert influence on Washington because the U.S. needs to have that airbase. It's one of the most important air bases they have. So push comes to shove, I think the Turks are still going to come down on the side of the U.S. because it's in their benefit. But anyhow, go ahead. Let's get some questions.
Yeah.
Awesome. First question here is from Angela Phillips Mills. Please ask Phil and Hal why Putin is testing ballistic missiles. What the hell is this? 1974?
Mm-hmm. I got it. I think it's like somebody flexing in a gym after an injury to make people think that they're still the toughest guy there more than anything. Because like it's posturing to scare people off. And again, I'd love to hear your take on this, Phil, but I've always said that Russia used mutual assured destruction, not like we do, which is everybody could get killed. This is terrible. We should not use these weapons. To Russia's been going, well, if you don't let us use our conventional weapons, we'll use our nukes, and you don't want that. So they use it as an umbrella to protect their attacks. How dare you try to stop us? We'll use nuke. We could nuke. I mean, it was even this week, like there was a report, I think in The Guardian, about how, here it is. Putin could strike London in 90 minutes, Russia's war today. Like that in Ukraine. Like they're using the words of Solovyov and Simonyan.
Yeah, they're big on their investing a lot of work in hypersonic missile technology.
Right.
And they have kind of made, in conjunction with their warheads, which, by the way, as you and I have talked about in the past, I mean, those nukes may not work.
Right.
Because they may not have done the proper upkeep. The
stock on the back. The stock on the back shelves of someplace when there's corruption involved is always worse than the stock on the front, because the front, like again, anything you use regularly, guns, ammo, helmets, whatever, like kind of stuff that you have to wear and show off. Any of the tanks that you use in parades, those have to be upkept and look good. But the further you get back on the usefulness and function of a weapon, it requires more attention for the upkeep, because there's in a corrupt system, there's more reason to like sell off every lug nut in the place, much less the electronics that run the thing and the high-tech surveillance parts. I think I've told you, I have 3 Russian lenses, 16 millimeter lenses that I use on one of my cameras for film stuff. And the reason I was able to get them for I paid $80 for like a box of them, like 4 or 5 of them. the reason I was able to get those is because they spent all this money on surveillance equipment. And then when 91 fell, they just took it all down for a while and pilfered it. It wasn't that they went, we're free, because they put up new cameras, by the way, video cameras with cheaper lenses because they didn't need them as much. But they also just anything that wasn't nailed down, they sold it. It's the same thing now.
Yeah, and the warheads degrade. They don't you know they don't last forever. You have to keep changing out the nuclear material that makes the bomb go boom.
Right.
So what they've done is they've said what the Russians have done is make advances in hypersonic missile technology. But it doesn't matter if your warhead is a dud. So they're going out there and they're doing their saber rattling because that's what they do. And that's why the international community, and in particular, the Biden administration, unfortunately, really was reluctant to do something that they would gauge would be escalation that then the Russians would respond,
which was all again also a talking point from the Russians themselves. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this with more of the questions from the chat at infotainmentwars.com, at the Facebook page, and on Twitch. They just come in hot and heavy. Like, I can't even stop them. We'll be back. I'm an idea man, Chuck. Who's this? Wife? Girlfriend? Nice frame. Fiance. Nice frame. This isn't a good picture. She's suffering from water buildup. Chicago, did we go to break? I didn't hear the transition.
We did. I'm sorry. I didn't play the music.
That's okay. It's all right. Just want to make sure that I don't accidentally swear on the air because, drop my guard.
Don't do it. That's my job.
You don't care about the Girl Scouts of
Coming
America?
back in 10 seconds.
Oh, thank you. Of America, Chuck? I'm fed up with you, man. I wash my hands and my feet of you. Trim that.
This is Tom Hartman, and you're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
Welcome back. So the even without the Tomahawks, the Ukrainians continue to hit oil and gas processing facilities and fields within Russia. I think that the only difference that Tomahawks would arguably make is that they could strike fortified areas, military bases, military sites, whereas these gas places, you can blow them up with a drone because they are giant barrels of fuel. So but their reach economically and militarily has grown exponentially in that they can use the drone strikes that we now know they are capable of. They are, even without the highly coordinated attacks, they have taken out several oil fields, diminishing Russia's oil sector to the lowest it's ever been, while at the same time, and this seems to be confusing for Trump, oil is like $62 a barrel. And so if Russian oil suddenly came back onto the market in full, like Trump wishes it would after they bring peace to the world and he can declare himself God in the temple and the mountain, and the Timu Antichrist can play out in this kind of like CW version of The Omen, part 3, it wouldn't ultimately, like, it would crash oil exploration. You can't drill, baby, drill if there's no profits. If you're operating at a low margin, there's no drill, baby, drill. There's no expansion of oil fields. There's no expansion in output. You need the price, a little bit high, as it were. And if Russian oil comes back on the market, it won't do that. And there's got to be somebody, I think, inside Trump's world that is either tricking him into knowing this or telling him. Telling him outright, like, look, if we need these sanctions so we can keep oil. It's it's at basically rock bottom as far as profitability. If we don't get, kickstart this again, our own guys will start hurting.
Yeah.
Hence the 2 sanctions he announced this week on Russia and Russian oil. And the the economic impact it's going to have on Russia is just like, it's brutal, but it could very well, easing them could be detrimental to his new friends in Saudi Arabia, who are running out of oil at the fastest clip of any country, and put away his desire to attack Venezuela. That said, let's grab another question for Phil, because I could rant about that for a half an hour easily.
So this next question is from Elizabeth. They're asking, when you come on, can we ask about the status of the Kerch Bridge?
The bridge is right now it's basically status quo. But there are a couple of things that are out there that may change that. Not least of which is that the Brits have said that they can use the Ukrainians may not be getting Tomahawks, but the Brits are basically saying that they are going to lift any restriction on their cruise missile weapon system, the Storm Shadow, which could, in conjunction with naval drones and things like that, could easily bring down the bridge. Look, that bridge exists and is standing right now at Kiev's permission.
Right.
Yeah, it's at their whim. They can take down that bridge. That bridge can go any day. And there's a lot of argument as to why they're keeping it open. Maybe it's to let Russians flee, so that when there is a push on
you
Crimea,
can't use civilians as shields.
Right, and there won't be a bunch of Russians on the peninsula who have their summer cottages and are sitting there going, no, we don't want Ukrainian dominion, which would be, that would look. Crimea is a really controversial, and difficult, nuanced issue, because there are a lot of Russians on the Crimean Peninsula, because they're whether it's naval guys who work in the Black Sea Fleet, and so they kind of have their homes there because they want to be close to work, or it's kind of what slim middle class exists in Russia. That's where they buy their summer. I know Russians. Yeah, I know Russians that have their little cottages.
I'm not quite. One of the I think he's the ambassador at large, Rodion Morozhnik, said to TASS, I think like this week, that they foiled a bunch of attacks that were going to hit the Kerch Bridge, because now they're taking credit, since they don't have any active victories, they're taking credits for invisible ones. That's, it's if it works for Kash Patel, who cares? But in the meanwhile, Al Jazeera put out this article, I think last year, let me see if I can, or last month, beg your pardon. Or no, this was June. Okay, this was a couple months ago. But the Kerch Bridge is doomed. Series of attack on the bridge suggests Ukraine's determination to sever the link to the Russian mainland at all costs. And the general gist of that is that the hits we've seen so far were sort of tests on what it would take engineering-wise to really shut it down, which followed up with this article in Forbes: giant robot submarine threatens Russians' bridge and ports. This is from September of this year, just a couple months ago, late last month rather. Ukraine has led the world in the development of combat drones, with small FPVs and larger bombers inflicting the majority of Russian losses. Ukrainian robot boats have scored some notable successes in the Black Sea. Now, Ukraine is moving into the underwater domain while unveiling a giant new robot submarine at an exhibition in Lviv. The underwater drone has a 5-ton payload and is designed for mine laying and the destruction of large stationary targets. Now, in water, there are very few large stationary projects. Like you would, boats don't qualify. They're not stationary. Even if they're anchored, they could move later. Maybe the only other ones I could think of are mining facilities, right? Like oil and gas platforms. That's stationary, as it were. But what you could really say this is aimed at is the Kerch Bridge. And they even say so in the Forbes article. This sounds like a direct threat to Russia's Kerch Bridge. And it is. They've just unveiled this thing a month ago. It's probably 2 months away. It can operate in cold water, so they could wait until middle of winter when the response teams to do anything about it, or the teams that would be watching in those areas that would respond to any attacks would be at their lowest. 4 o'clock in the morning on a night when it's negative 20 degrees.
The Ukrainians could take down that bridge whenever they want.
Right.
It's just a matter of timing.
Mm-hmm.
And I am sure that all the various organs of Ukraine's government and military and all the rest of it are discussing this. When do we take it down? It's not if, it's when.
Yeah.
And the Russians know it too. So we'll see. But that bridge is not going to. Bridge is not going to last.
No,
that bridge is not going to last. And ultimately, by the way, it was badly built. It was built with people skimming off the top and all the corruption of Russia, and additionally, the Kerch Strait is notoriously difficult to build on. The Germans tried to do it in World War II so that they could maneuver around Stalingrad. And they can't do it because the Kerch Strait is silt. It's all silt.
Yeah.
And so that bridge is coming down. And that the Ukrainians can't wait for it to come down, because it's going to come by the poor engineering and the theft and all the rest of it. The bridge was built badly, and it is going to fall into the sea. Mm-hmm. It will. It's 5-10 years, maybe. Who knows? I don't know when. Nobody knows when, but it inevitably is going to come down. But the Ukrainians can't wait for that long. So they also have to project the idea and send the message to Moscow and to the world that we can take this thing down militarily with weapons whenever we want. It's just a matter of when. So look, that bridge is coming down. That's all there is to it. It at one point or another, that bridge is coming down, and the Russians will freak out, and they'll do some sort of crazy response and all the rest of it, and they'll go nuts to their own domestic population. But the Kerch Bridge will not survive this war. I am very comfortable saying that.
Agreed. Let's grab another question, Johnny. Do you hear me? Did you get it? Johnny, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
I'm sorry. I was looking at the chat. What was that?
That's okay.
Do we need another question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Oh, wow. Oh, look at that. Do I get to vote too?
Yeah, sure.
In Ukraine,
roll some dice.
Yeah. Well, there's I put a poll in that said, should they hit the Kerch Bridge ASAP? Right now, yes is winning at 92%. I guess
so. This is from Connie Kelly.
Okay, great.
Will the improvements in the sea drones have much of an impact on Black Sea operations?
I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. And they're going to get better. And again, I mean, not to repeat myself too much here, but unless Russia can regain control of the north shore of the Black Sea, then this war will be for nothing. They need to control the Black Sea. That's integral to their geopolitical standing and their ability to project naval power.
Right.
You need Kiev and you need Odessa, and they're not going to get either. So yeah, the Ukrainians are going to continue to deny the Russians control of the sea. Right now, currently, they have their submarine fleet. There's a Sevastopol is a really interesting. I've never been there, but I've lots of friends that have, and I've seen lots of reports about it. They have a mountain that is dug out. They've hollowed out a mountain that is adjacent to Sevastopol for their submarine fleet. So their undersea nuclear asset in the form of their submarine fleet can still access Sevastopol. But because of Odessa and the drone system, their surface fleet is now bottled up in the far eastern part of the sea, in domestic Russian territory at Novorossiysk, which you cannot control the Black Sea from Novorossiysk. You either control it from Crimea or you control it from Odessa because of the proximity of the two. Crimea is better because it juts out into the actual sea itself.
Right.
And so you can project your power easier and control the sea.
You can put bases on either side of it, and you can bridge between them on the land.
Right.
And it's got more land mass and a shorter area because of the point that you can do. Whoops, we lost Phil for 1 second. Okay, good. He's back.
Oh, no. I'm back.
It happens. There you are. You're back.
Oh,
that's okay.
Sorry. Yeah,
that's okay. We need to take a break anyways. We're okay. So hang on.
No. Don't think we have a look. You can project power from the peninsula better.
Yeah.
But unless you have Odessa as well, Odessa can always be the Achilles heel.
Agreed. Whoops. Lost him again. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Come on back, Phil.
Welcome back. We're in break right now.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good. Quick break.
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I don't know why that, because I'm on mains.
Sure, but I mean, it's internet gremlins in this kind of distance. Just don't let it water off a duck's back. Unless there's something that shows up like bit rate or some nonsense, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Is what it is.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you heard about these intercepts that they from the Russians telling soldiers they had working for them when there is fog and mist, so they're not identified, let them eliminate all people who are enemies on motorcycles, on bicycles, women and children. He repeats the last phrase twice to remind everybody women and children. Yeah.
Stand by, coming back.
Thank you.
I am happy, you are happy, let us be happy together, whether the weather is cloudy or sunny. I will always be your funny honey bunny. I am lucky, you are lucky, let us get lucky together, whether the weather is cloudy or breezy. I'll be there to say, hey, come on, let's take it easy. Cause isn't it nice to have the friends that you do? And isn't it nice that the sky is so blue? And isn't it nice to say I love you, chugga chugga choo choo, woo woo. I am smiling, you are smiling, let us smile together, whether the weather is cloudy or stormy. I will still be there in the morning. I'll be right by your side in the morning. I'll make you breakfast in the morning. I hope that you like cereal.
Yay!
I think the best news I like. I have two stories. One is just abject nice. Is last night, Summer and I went and saw Tesla at the House of Blues here, and they sounded fantastic. I mean, I like their music anyways, but but Frank Hannon is such a beast of a guitar player, and they opened with Modern Day Cowboy, which seems very appropriate in these day and age, and Hang Tough was their second song, and then the whole theme was it's all about love. So they were definitely trying to help people get through it, right? Which is you could tell that was an active choice by the band. It's lovely, and they sounded amazing. But I gotta say, their version of Signs, which I've always loved, every time they get to the last verse, it gets me. Like, I tear up. That whole, like, and the sign says, everybody welcome, come in and kneel down and pray. Like, knocks me, like, I can't not, like, the way they do it, the way he sings it, the tension built by the music. It's such a sweet notion, and, like, I'm alive and doing fine. Like, it's such a great anchor to that song that's very sweet throughout, kind of, and like, I didn't change last night. I was like, it's getting me again. There I go. Wow. And it's a testament in many ways, not just to what a great song that is, but how great they do it. And their commitment to it or whatever. And they did Love Song, which is my girl's favorite song. And, it was great. So they did terrific. And then my other side story is that apparently military production in Russia has suddenly collapsed. That after 3 years of this stuff, the production boom that they were having that was keeping their economy afloat has just cratered. Finished metal projects fell by 1.6% compared to September of last year. By comparison, this category saw a 26.4% increase in 2023 and 31% in 2024. And it basically stopped altogether and then started going down, which is a good sign. No pun intended.
Yeah.
So, let's. I don't know if anybody has any other a little piece of good news, or if you get a chance, listen to Modern Day Cowboy, I would say, and Hang Tough in that order, because that's what they.
I've got some future fun.
Okay.
Next week, Mrs. Million and I are going to go see David Byrne. That's going to be very exciting. She's a big David Byrne and Talking Heads fan.
You may ask yourself, what is Johnny doing here? Right. I'm actually playing an Ace song on Tuesday at the Jam. We're doing Rip It Out in honor of Ace Frehley, who passed away. And then Friday I have a show at Flappers, the Halloween show. Hey, you're welcome. We're having a costume contest at the show for the costume that requires the least amount of effort, but is still technically a costume. Yeah, that's yeah.
My big event on the calendar is I'm going to go back to the States for Thanksgiving.
Excellent.
But I'm also going to go see the Wolverines kick the snot out of the Buckeyes.
Look out!
This is a game. This is a game that I have
Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
I have watched this game my entire life. Both of my parents were Michigan alums, and there was a time when I was actually gonna go to the U of M, and I am a Wolverine, a dyed in the wool Wolverine fan. So anybody who has not seen the fantastic documentary that is available on YouTube called The Rivalry, which outlines the story of why it is that the Buckeyes and the Wolverines are so contentious. It's a fantastic story, whether it's Bo Schembechler or who's the guy over in Columbus there. There was Bo, and there was and Gappy.
Gary Fredrickson the third.
No.
James Hinkleberry.
It was
Parma.
But it's just this.
He's helping.
It's this. I've watched it my entire life, and I'm finally gonna go and watch
see a game.
And watch it. See a game. So I'm gonna do that. Those I'm hoping to get
Woody Hayes. Everybody's saying
Woody Hayes. There we go.
There
Woody
you go.
Hayes. Yes,
Thanks,
I was just
chat
reading
room.
up myself. Thank you. So I'm pre-recording shows for the kind of like 3-week Thanksgiving and the game
Right.
period. Then I'm going to come back and we'll pick up where we left off. So hopefully we won't have any gaps in the show.
Right.
Because we'll pre-record before we go. I reiterate, those of you who have not gone to the channel on YouTube and seen last week's episode with Anton Timoshenko, who is basically kind of Ukraine's Lenny Bruce or Richard Pryor, or kind of, he is blazing a path when it comes to stand up, which is a relatively new art form in Ukraine, because of course Moscow doesn't like that kind of stuff. But Ukrainians are willing to hold up a mirror to themselves. Go and see that episode. But this week we are putting together, and we'll be publishing tomorrow, an American Ellie Harbinger, who does delivery of vehicles and medical supplies. She lives in London, but she does this on the regular. And so we talk about what it is, how do you actually get vehicles across the border? How do you bring in medical supplies?
Right.
Why do you do it? And then conversely, when you come out, the responsibility that you have to spread the word about what you see when you come here. So that'll be premiering tomorrow, as usual, at 8 p.m. Local Kiev time, which I think is noon East Coast. So, yeah, another episode coming out.
Beautiful. Awesome. And Johnny, we got a couple minutes left, so let's see if we can get a couple more questions in, because I know you have them. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a question from And it says, "Hey, Johnny, do you know if Phil has a roommate or anything? Does he live all alone? Is it really scary to have bobs going off and have no one there with you?"
Depends on who that person is. If they're more easily panicked than you are. Sure.
Yeah. No, I live alone. But it's not fun. I mean, this week was bad. The attack on Tuesday into Wednesday was really, really bad. And I heard drones overhead and, very distinctive sound and all the rest of it. But, it's important. So I'm going to stick it out. And, I live alone, and I go through air raids and air attacks and all that fun stuff. All by my lonesome. Oh, woe is me.
Right. I would love to have Johnny Million. I'd love to have Johnny Million as a roommate in almost any circumstance, except in a war zone, because I would be kept awake all night with the sound of. Right.
Wow.
Well, yeah. Right.
Wow.
I'm kidding. He'd be holding up the roof because he's taller than me. He'd literally be just standing there going, "I got this, Sparks. It's okay." Let's grab another question.
I do always call you Sparks. Let's see. Ed's 3D Tech says, "Can you ask Phil what percentage of cities outside Moscow and St. Petersburg are out of power and gas right now?"
I don't have a precise percentage, but yeah, the further you go away from the centers of power in Russia, the more that you're going to be having problems with, the gas station having a full tank, and it's going to get worse. Domestically, they're already having lines outside of gas stations to try and fill up your tank. And that is before it gets into winter, when, you go down to minus 20 degrees, and it's, frozen outside. Are you really going to want to sit in a line for gas? So I don't know what the percentage is, but it's growing. It's going to get worse. Ukraine is going to suffer through a hard winter, but so are the Russians.
Mhm.
And we'll see how that goes. So I think we got time, maybe time for one quick more. One more quick
Yeah,
question.
let's see. This is from Poll. Has Phil noticed any shift in leaders in Europe support for the Ukraine in a good way?
I've seen the European Union putting pressure on Serbia in particular, and I think the Serbs will acquiesce because they're desperate to become EU members. There's still the problem with Hungary and Orban, who is bought and paid for by Moscow. He's very problematic. But I think by and large, the Europeans, as the Americans are kind of disappearing, are realizing that they have to do this themselves.
Right.
They don't have the military industry to do it, but they do have the money. And so they might buy equipment from the United States, but the Europeans are absolutely waking up to this.
Yeah, and that's not going to change anytime soon. And I also think this is part of the strategy. I want to remind everybody, On the Edges Phil's show, please check it out. Support the channel, just by subscribing and watching the episodes. Give them a thumbs up, comment on the videos.
Leave
that
a
helps
comment,
immensely.
please.
Yeah, very helpful.
Leave a comment.
Johnny Million's got his show on It's Johnny Million on both YouTube and Twitch, so subscribe there if you feel like it or whatever. And of course, I'm everywhere all at once, so people take me for granted, but I'll keep being here anyways.
Just can't.
You can't. I can't not. All right, we'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Hold for a moment. I couldn't show this necessarily on the air, but I figure this is you can tell like buying trends are a way of figuring out how a country is doing in general, and I just wanted to share this one with you in general.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a penis stretcher. Want to try it?
The old penis extender.
Russians are buying up penis extenders. Demand for extenders has increased by
terrifying.
90%. They are worn for 4 to 10 hours a day, with the effect expected due to constant mechanical stretching. Improper use can lead to injuries, curvature, and impaired function of the genital organ. Yeah, no kidding.
Curvature. You don't say.
Yeah, it gets a crimp in it. Yep, they're also, by the way, to show you another sign that Russians are doing very well right now. What are they? They're extending everything, these Russians. Right now, you know what's also up? Men are buying up insoles to increase their height. Sales have increased 5-fold. All because of girls who don't want to date guys under 180 centimeters with, same problem with their organ, I would suppose. Insoles add up to 7 centimeters in height. The price of pleasure, $300 but like, and the heel sticks out of the shoe, which is you do these little stack things. And they extend these things in there and you shove it in there and whatever. So they're like Russian dudes are having a rough one right now because the ladies' expectations are growing and they're shrinking.
Those are not great trends.
No. It's like one of those things where like, hey, we're spending a lot of money in our district. What do you have there? We've got liposuction clinics and facelift areas. Oh, I see. So people are miserable and they're trying to patch holes in their lives by getting their face fixed. Okay, so they're not spending it on like consumer goods. They're pouring money into getting their face fixed. That may or may not.
You gotta get a Mar-a-Lago face.
Right, exactly. So, anyways, thank you guys both. I'll let you go.
All right.
And I'll see you later on.
Love you both. Stay safe, Phil.
Right. Take care, Johnny.
Cheers.
Thanks. Talk to you on Wednesday, Al.
Yeah,
right,
absolutely. Cheers. There we go. And chat room. Thank you guys today for helping us meet our goal. That was really lovely. Thank you for on Twitch for the emotes and all the stuff that I never ask for because I'm silly that way. But we need to try and hit it. And where's my... Okay, I had this up here. Hold on. I've got my little... Oh, I closed the window, I guess. Boink. That's all it does. General start page. The camera. This is the general news. Yeah, here it is. So I got the little Suno guy. And this is my little outro music for the price of deli meats. Salute to all the maggots out there who think prices are coming down because In one case, they're not going up as fast while still going up. Congratulations, guys. You played yourself. Also, somebody explain to me what Doge actually accomplished. Anybody? Does anybody know what they actually accomplished? Besides, what's the phrase? Fuck all?
Nice and nice. Oh, what a deal. Everybody.
Hold on, I got to start at the beginning of the song because otherwise it's a little too abrupt. Beg your pardon. Start over, you silly thing. Back to here. Maybe this one will do it.
1, 2, 1, 2, 2.
Hit that like, everybody. Share the show.
Oh, the ham's so sweet it can't be beat. Turkey's tender, it's quite the treat. Bologna's bold, a story untold. Stack it high, watch the magic unfold. Slice of nice, oh what a deal. Every bite's a tasty thrill. No price too high for the joy it brings. Deli meats make your heart take wing. Salami sings a savory tune. Roast beef dances under the moon. Pastrami's charm will make you swoon. Fill your plate morning, night, or noon. You don't need diamonds, you don't need gold. Just a little mustard and a loaf to hold. With every bite a tale is sold. Deli dreams never grow old.